Hello and welcome to this session in which we will discuss component units. Specifically, we're going to be discussing the annual comprehensive financial report for the city of Philadelphia in order to demonstrate how component units are presented and discuss the rules. When should they be reported? Should they be reported in a blended fashion? Should they be reported discretely? So this is the table of content for the annual comprehensive financial report, and component units are here listed separately. Notice component units financial statement. They have a statement of net position and a statement of activities. It means they use accrual accounting. Statement of net position is the balance sheet. Statement of activities are the equivalent of an income statement. In the government-wide financial statement, notice we have a component unit, and when I did cover the government-wide financial statement, I said, we'll talk about the component units in a separate recording. This separate recording is now. These are the component unit that are part of the government-wide financial statement presented separately, and these are the component unit of the statement of activities also presented separately. Notice the component unit, and they take the same format. First, we list the expenses. It's the expense approach. Then we list the revenues for these units. And notice here we have the component total, which is net. And notice most of them have a net positive. I mean, this one does not. The education obviously does not. But the others will have positive, as well as the economic development. They also have their own statement of net position. In other words, there's a statement of net position for Philadelphia and Gaswork. There's one for the housing. Let me take a look at the education. And specifically, I want to emphasize this, the Community College of Philadelphia. I work at the Community College of Philadelphia. So their balance sheet is presented here as part of the city of Philadelphia, but it is as a separate component. So focus on that for a moment. So the community college is a separate legal entity, but it's presented with the government-wide financial statements. Also, we have the statement of activities for each one, including the Community College of Philadelphia, which is under education, we have the community college, which have their expenses, which is my salary is part of this. Part of it is blended right there. Charging for services, the state gives them some money to operate, gives us some money to operate, the federal government as well as contribution. Now we're going to discuss a little bit in details when as a component unit is considered a component unit, and how do we present it, which is it's presented here as a separate rather than a discrete, rather than a blended presentation. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, FarhatLectures.com. Farhat Accounting Lectures is a supplemental educational tool that's going to help you with your CPA exam preparation as well as your accounting courses. My CPA material is aligned with your CPA review course such as Becker, Roger, Wiley, Gleam, Miles. My accounting courses are aligned with your accounting courses, broken down by chapter and topics. My resources consist of lectures, multiple choice questions, true-false questions, as well as exercises. Go ahead, start your free trial today. Starting with component unit. What is a component unit? It's a legally separate entity, like the Community College of Philadelphia. They have their own legal identity, separate from the government, nevertheless still connected to it. Examples will be a community college, certain public utilities, school districts as well. So they are separate. This is the community college, but they are connected to the main government, the city of Philadelphia. Financial accountability. This is a primary criteria for including a component unit, is the main government is financially responsible for them. The city is responsible for them. However, we have to show how that financial accountability is presented itself. The primary government appoints a voting majority of the organization board. Well, if they do that, they're somehow responsible for them, but because they are responsible for their decision making. The primary government can impose its will, can tell that governmental unit what to do. The Community College of Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia can impose certain will on them, and there is a potential financial benefit or burden. usually the community college, from a financial perspective, it's a burden financially, but it benefits the city in other way. We prepare people to work in the city. But from a financial perspective, the city of Philadelphia has some sort of a financial burden because the community college operate at a loss. It's not for profit, and the city of Philadelphia is responsible. Therefore, a component unit, a classic example, will be the Community College of Philadelphia, CCP, and the city of Philadelphia. Why do we include this? Why do we include those components? Well, the aim is to do what? Is to provide a complete and an accurate picture of the financial standing of the primary government. This ensures that if someone looking at the city of Philadelphia, they want to see a holistic view. Holistic means a complete view of their financial health, which include the Community College of Philadelphia. Although it could be considered a separate legal entity, nevertheless, the city of Philadelphia can impose their will on them. They are financially responsible for them, and they can get a surplus in case they have a surplus. So omitting this from the primary government would give the investors or the users misleading or incomplete picture. That's why you want to include those components. And their financial activities, which is assets, liabilities, revenues, are large enough, substantially large enough, to be mandated to be included. Otherwise, if you are excluding them, you are misleading the investors. They're large enough to be included. So let's learn about the rules when the component unit is blended with the primary government. In other words, we don't see it separately. We don't list it separately. It's a blended. So that column that I showed you in the city of Philadelphia, it doesn't exist if they don't have any component unit. Well, that happens when that unit, let's assume the community college, so intertwined with the primary government that they are in essence indistinguishable from the primary government. So this basically they're part of the government. Well, is the community college like this? No, because it's reported separately. Now, how do we know whether it's so intertwined or not? Well, here are some factors. The component government body is substantially the same as the governing body. Simply put, the people that run the city of Philadelphia are the same that run the community college, and the answer is they're not. The component unit provide services entirely or almost entirely to the primary government, or otherwise benefit from the primary government exclusively or almost exclusively. Is that true for the Community College of Philadelphia? Absolutely not. We have students from the city of Philadelphia. We have students from the state of Pennsylvania. We have students from other states. We have international students. We serve everyone. 3, the component unit is not a separate legal entity or is financially integrated. Not at all. The Community College of Philadelphia is a separate legal entity, and it's not financially integrated. They account for their expenses, revenues, assets, liabilities separately. So blended components are reported if they are part of the primary government. Their activities and balances are integrated and intermingled within the primary government financial statements and often within the same column. And we only have to meet one of those 3 conditions. Now, how about when it's reported separately or discrete presentation or reported separately? I think you know when, right? You know when. Definition, let's see. Discrete components are legally separate entities that maintain more distinct corporate or organizational entity than the blended unit. How do we know this? 1, their governing bodies is separate from that of the primary government. So the people that run the city of Philadelphia are different than the people that run the Community College of Philadelphia. And I know some of them. Totally separate than the city of Philadelphia. The component unit operate with a significant degree of autonomy. Absolutely. The Community College of Philadelphia, management, the president, the CEO, the CFO, they make their decision without going back to the city of Philadelphia. There are financial benefits or burden relationship, but the unit maintain a distinct operational and financial existence, 100%. Yes, we do rely on the city of Philadelphia, but we also have our own independent operational and financial existence. If that's the case, the unit is reported separately, discretely, like the Community College of Philadelphia. Discrete components are presented in a separate column in the government-wide financial statement. I show you this approach to highlight their legal separateness and their financial independence from the primary government. For example, State University could take that form as well. Again, I like to give you the example of my CCP, the Community College of Philadelphia. So to summarize, when is it a discrete component unit? Well, when the blended unit are not met. Now let's take a look at the key differences. There are basically three key differences. One is the integration with the primary government. The blended unit are reported as part of the primary government, where the discrete unit are reported separately. Are they integrated or not? If they should not be integrated, they should be separate like the Community College of Philadelphia, then that's one determination. The other determination is autonomy. Are they independent? Do they have their own unit? Do they have independence in their decision? Discrete unit maintain more autonomy, like the Community College of Philadelphia, versus a unit where it's a blended unit. Third one is the financial relationship. The nature and depth of the financial integration with the blended unit. Is the unit financially dependent or closely tied to the primary government? If that's the case, if they're closely tied, then it should be blended. While discrete unit may have financial transaction with the primary government, but they maintain their separate finances. Let's take a look at this multiple choice questions from farhatlectures.com. Which of the following is likely to be a discrete component in governmental accounting? When we say discrete component, means it's reported separately. What do you think? The city's main administrative office. What do you think? Do you think the city need an administrative office? Yes. Do you think that's part of the government integral units? Absolutely. They're integral part of the government. They need administrative office. So I would say that will not be reported as a discrete. The city main administrative office will be part of the blended governmental activities. Would you say a public university? I would say yes. A university might have its own board of directors, they charge customers separately from the state government or the city or the township because they charge tuition, and they make their own decision. I would say a public university could be considered as a discrete component. Let's look at C and D. C, the primary government Treasury Department. Well, the primary government Treasury Department, they work for the primary government. They're part of the primary government. Therefore, they're an integral part, and they're not a separate legal entity. Therefore, they cannot be reported as a discrete component. How about a department within the government infrastructure sector? So this is within the government infrastructure sector. They're telling you it's part of the government infrastructure. Therefore, it's not legally independent. Therefore, as we guessed, B is the best answer. What should you do now? Go to farhatlectures.com, look at additional MCQs. That's going to help you understand these concepts better. Remember, we have to know the rules. When is a component unit reported discretely, separately? When is a component unit is blended, reported with the governmental activities? And remember the big picture. The component unit is part of the annual comprehensive financial report, which you need to be familiar with all its components. I believe we covered all of it. Good luck. Study hard. Invest in yourself. The CPA exam is worth it. Your accounting courses is worth it. And stay safe.